So many times when we're playing chess, we lose games when we should win. In this lesson, in this video, I'm going to give you some tips to hopefully stop that from happening in the future so you can convert more winning games into actual wins. Anyway, this position, you can tell I left up the evaluation bar. White's winning here. It's not drastically winning, but I'm soon to be drastically winning. And you'll see I have to defend and convert my win. Now, I have double rooks on the G file. He does have the bishop protecting, but there's pawns coming up to loosen up the king side. My bishop's aimed at the king. My queen's in position to attack the king. And my king is safe. So everything is going great so far. So my opponent didn't really know what to do because, again, because of strategic reasons also. And that's why it's great to know. You have to know all the strategy and basic strategy in chess. And you want to close the position where your opponent's attacking. So in this position, if we have kings on opposite sides of the board from each other, I want to open the position, which I successfully did, where I'm attacking. And conversely, I want to close the position, obviously, where my opponent's attacking. So my opponent really can't push forward with anything because I successfully closed the position and I created a blockade. If he pushes, I would just simply take here. So he's a strong player, though. So what do you think my opponent played here? My opponent pushed anyway and sacked a pawn. And not only that, but then followed it up with a rook sack because I guess that's the trend in chess in today's day and age, to sack the rook. But in this case, it's not sound. And he does get a pawn back, and that's what he was doing. But more importantly, he was conjuring up an attack. He saw he had no play, and good players want to create counterplay. They want to have an active position, even if at the expense of losing material sometimes. In this case, it's just not sound, but he does have some strong threats. You can lose this game very quickly if you don't pay attention. Now, what's my opponent's idea? Obviously, he wanted to become more active and open up the position. His pawns can roll forward. But even more immediate than that, we have to look at the immediacy of our opponent's threats. That's what's most important. Not the, in general, in the abstract, ideas he may have, but the ideas he has right now. And his threat is the bishop and the queen combining for an attack. Also, the rook coming over. So I played b3 because I felt like that's what he wanted. And that is what he wanted, because what happens is b3 weakens the dark squares. And it's not the best position. It's not the best move on the board. Now, I'm not saying you have to make the best move on the board every single time. Sometimes you do. But in this position, there was two good moves, and I played the second best one. The first best one is this, and I'll get back to this later because it comes into account again. And I was very weary of it because of this move and the pawn pushing. And then I was thinking I was giving him too much counterplay. So I played b3 to entice him to come to queen a3, which he did. And this is what I figured his idea was, his plan was, and now he's starting to uncover that. So what he wants to do is, if I play a random move here, now he's going to push the pawn and unleash a checkmating threat here and here. I can't really defend it. If I come here, he just comes here and checkmates me. So I would have to actually give up my queen, and of course then I would lose the game, or I should lose the game. So I have no time to play anything other than two moves. Now, the move I played was good, and there's also another move that I missed. So the move that I played was queen c1. Now, queen c1 just shuts down my opponent's play. He can't do anything. He can't even avoid the queen trade. So now he has to go into a queen trade when he's down material. And again, he sacrificed material for the attack. So now there's no attack, and he's left with no attack and down material going into an endgame. And this is a winning position. However, there's actually another move here that's just as good, or the computer's going back and forth and saying now slightly better. Try to see if you can find it and try to calculate as deep as you can here, because it's very tactical. So the move here is queen d6, and I was weary about this move again because of rook d8. But rook d8 actually fails to rook g7. And that's a stunning combination. Very hard to see in advance moves ahead, especially when you're in time trouble. Well, this is a blitz game, so we start at time trouble. It's a 3-minute blitz game. If my opponent takes, obviously that's checkmate. And if my opponent takes the rook, then we have check, followed by checkmate. And the queen is actually stuck. If the queen doesn't have the bishop in this position to help it out, the queen's actually just a sitting duck and can't help out for defensive purposes. So anyway, I'm going to show you guys after queen c1, this is what I played. We traded queens, and now still you want to be able to convert a winning game, and you're up material at this point, but it's not a sure win. It should be if you play well and keep a cool head, but of course your opponents can mix things up. So here, I'm just going to show you how the game played out. My opponent's trying to create a passed pawn. That's very important for him. So I just simply don't let him. I just take. So now there's no passed pawn. If I didn't take, he would push, and that would be an issue. So I take, and now I just push myself. And I just get my rook to maybe help out on this rank if I have to. And after this check, I come into the discovered check on purpose, because after this check, I can block, and after he trades, I trade, and now he takes, and I take this pawn. Now, if I take this pawn, that's okay, but he takes back with check. After I move, he takes this pawn. It's still better, but I decided to take with this pawn, and now he correctly plays the best move. This is not the best move because he's still running into this pawn. That pawn was doubled. It doesn't really mean anything. I would step up here, and it's just very easy. However, even at best play here, after his move e5, it's still an easy win. The bishop comes down, and I just have to make sure he doesn't queen, and I just push my pawn. I cut the king off from coming to defend the pawn or defend the queening square. I take, and notice that you always have to be aware of your opponent guarding one of either the queening square or the squares before it. And in this case, he has a dark square bishop. He can only guard this square. He can't come out this way because his pawn's blocking him. So he has to come this way to block it, but this pawn's blocking. That's why it's very important when he pushes, we don't take and let him come here and stop the pawn. You'd still be winning, but it's more of a pain, to deal with. So here, my opponent resigned. Anyway, hopefully you guys found that video helpful. If you did, check out this one. I'll catch you guys next time. Go play some chess.